Good evening. We are learning Parshat Bamidbar. Parshat Bamidbar is the first Parsha in the new book, Sefer Bamidbar. And Parshat Bamidbar is happening on the first of the month of Iyar, which is the second month of the year, and it's in the second year of the Jewish people coming out of Egypt, which means this is already 1 year and 2 weeks since the Exodus. The Jewish people already spent an entire year in the desert. They received the Torah, and now they are still by Mount Sinai, continuing to learn the Torah, understand it, and build themselves up as a nation. We're on page 727 of the Art Scroll Chumash, and we begin. Hashem spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tent of meeting. Tent of meeting is another name for Mishkan, the tabernacle, on the first of the second month, in the second year after their exodus from the land of Egypt, saying, this is the message of Hashem to Moshe. Take a census of the entire assembly of the children of Israel. Every male from 20 years of age and up. And we know that they were counted from 20 until 60. This is the age when they go to the army. As it says, everyone who goes out to the legion in Israel. So this is not the first time the Jewish people were counted. They were counted when they left Egypt. We know that they were approximately 600,000 men. That's 600,000 families, because each man between 20 years of age and 60 had a family. And they were counted again after the Egel, after the golden calf, and now again they're counted. And the question is asked, actually a few questions. Number one, why count the Jewish people so many times? And one of the answers is that it's important to count things that you love, you enjoy. Like we know the famous pictures of greedy people counting money because they love money. And Hashem loves the Jewish people, so He loves to count how many Jews there are. Another answer is that the Jewish people are about to leave Mount Sinai and start traveling to the land of Israel. And once they approach the land of Israel, they need to form an army and need to start fighting. And when they enter, they have to conquer the land. So they need to know exactly how many able-bodied men there are, so that they can form the army properly. We know that it's going to take them another 39 years until they're going to enter Israel. But that is because of the sin of the spies. At this point, they were supposed to enter the land of Israel in just another few days. In fact, Rashi says that it would only take them 11 days to get to the land of Israel. And in fact, they got to the border of the land of Israel soon after. And then they sent the spies. And the spies took 40 days. And when they came back, they didn't want to go in. And that's when an extra 39 years of traveling in the desert was decreed. Now, another question that is being asked how they were counted. And we know that the way we learned after the golden calf, they were counted using coins. Each Jew would give a coin of half a shekel worth. And then they would count the coins and they will get the whole number. Why not count people? And that is because we have another rule that there is a concept called ayin hara, evil eye, and that can fall whenever you have exact numbers. Whenever you are counting, it's as if you are setting a limit. You're setting a limitation on the subject. And you're saying this is supposed to be only this much and not more. And when you count how many people are in the family, it's as if, God forbid, you're saying this family should only have this number of people. That's the stamp. That's a label for that family. If I count a nation and I say this nation is supposed to have only this number of people, so we don't want that to happen to the Jewish people, and therefore we don't count them. Rather, we count objects that belong to them. And an additional similar statement we have is that if you want a blessing, make sure you don't show your resources to anyone. Ein haberacha mitzuya ela bedavar hasamui min ha'ayin. A blessing is only found in things that are hidden from the eye. As soon as a person starts bragging or sharing the good news, there is a great danger. Not only that people might get hurt or people might get jealous, but in addition, the danger is that it may be considered that you are taking the credit for that blessing. And you're saying, I have this much. I earned this much. It may sound, and it may even enter your mind, that it is my achievement, my merit. And then Hashem says, you think it's yours forever? You think you got it all by yourself? I want to show you that it's only temporary. And very quickly after sharing the good news, seemingly, or bragging, a person loses that blessing. So someone is asking a very good question. So should we never share good news? So the answer is, you should only share the good news when you know that the person you're sharing with will not get hurt, will not become jealous, and when it's no longer possible to hide. For example, the common example, a lady that became pregnant, she should not share the news until she can no longer hide it, which is approximately 3 months. And it also so happens that the first 3 months are the most dangerous for the baby. The highest miscarriage rate is the first 3 months. And therefore, something that is not certain yet, don't talk about it. Because you don't want to endanger your blessing in any way. People that you know are not going to become jealous, like your immediate family, your parents. You can share it with them from the first moment. And the opposite, they might worry about you, why aren't you getting the blessing? But anyone else who may have had harder time receiving that blessing, you should not share it with them until you can no longer hide it. Now another question is asked: what if someone is questioning you? So if someone is questioning you, there is a permission in the Talmud that you don't have to reveal the entire truth. You can diminish the truth, which means you can say something that is not entirely true for the sake of not harming anyone, which could be yourself or the other person, because if you know they're going to get hurt or jealous, then to prevent that, you're allowed to say less than the truth. And also for humility. And you don't have to say the truth in order to protect your private information. So that means if someone is asking you, how much money are you making? And they're pushing you, tell me. You don't have to tell them. But if they're pushing and they're going to get upset if you don't tell them, you can say, oh, I'm making this amount, but really it's not the truth. Really you're making more. But you're telling them something that is reasonable, that they will believe, and that's not considered a sin of lying, because you're protecting your private information, you're protecting them from getting hurt by jealousy, and you're protecting potentially yourself from ayin hara. And similarly, if someone asks you, are you pregnant? You can say, oh, I don't know, I didn't check yet. I wish, please pray for me. You don't have to say, yes, I am already 6 weeks, my due date is such and such, my doctor's name is this and that. You don't have to give all the information. You can say, I'm not sure, why, do I look pregnant? And if they say, yes, you do, or you say, oh, okay, I guess I have to check. So, if you can get out of it, that is better than just bragging. Now, let's continue. That is the reason why the Jewish people are not counted by the number of people, because we want to give the blessing to the Jews that they should always increase, they should never be limited. However, because of Hashem's love for us, He can't help it. He wants to count us as one would count his diamonds. Now, we are on page 727, verse 4. And with you shall be one man from each tribe, which means with Moshe and Aharon, there will be one man assigned responsible for his tribe, a man who is a leader of his father's household. And then in the next paragraph, we're given the names of 12 people responsible for the 12 tribes. And in addition to that, we have Elazar, who is son of Aharon, who is responsible for all the leaders. He's the leader of the leaders. Now on page 729, verse 18, they gathered together the entire assembly on the first of the second month, and they established their genealogy according to their families, not only counting the people, but also making sure that their genealogy is known and recorded. Who comes from which tribe, who comes from which father, grandfather, and so on, all the way till the 12 sons of Yaakov, according to their father's household, by number of the names from 20 years of age and up. And now for the next 2 pages we have the numbers for each tribe. For Reuven, the total is 46,500 families. For Shimon, 59,300 families. For Gad, 45,650 families. For Yehudah, 74,600 families. For Yisachar, 54,400 families. For Zevulun, 57,400 families. For Ephraim, 40,500 families. For Menashe, 32,200 families. For Binyamin, 35,400 families. For Dan, 62,700 families. For Asher, 41,500 families. For Naphtali, 53,400 families. And the total is given on page 731 in verse 46. All their countings were 603,550. Now, few things about this count. Number one, the total 603,550 is identical to the count that they made after the golden calf, which happened half a year earlier. And surprisingly, the number is exactly the same. Now, the question is asked, how is that possible? What are the chances that half a year later you have exactly the same number of people? Now, I see some people asking questions. We're going to address the questions at the end, but feel free to continue asking. So, one of the answers that Rashi gives is that the way we count people's age according to Torah is not based on when they were born, but rather based on a national count. And that count goes from Rosh Hashanah, which means on the day of Rosh Hashanah in Tishrei, we record the age for national purposes for the army of every male, and we say you are 40 years old, you are 30 years old, you are 20 years old, and that is your official government age until the next Rosh Hashanah. Even though you may become a year older in the middle of the year, it doesn't matter. Next year we will record your age accordingly. And therefore, since the first count right after they were forgiven for the golden calf happened the day after Yom Kippur, which is in Tishrei, after Rosh Hashanah, it's in the same year as now, in the month of Iyar. And therefore, even though some people became 20 in the meantime, we don't care, we don't count them, because the count goes from Rosh Hashanah. And even though some people became already 61, so they're older than 60, they shouldn't be counted, but still we go after Rosh Hashanah, and we still count them as within that range. Now, if we do some data analysis on the numbers, we will see that the smallest tribe is the tribe of Menashe, 32,200, and the largest tribe is the tribe of Yehudah, 74,600. And surprisingly, the next largest tribe is Dan, 62,700. Even though Dan was one of the last children born, and not only that, Dan had the smallest number of children himself. He only had one son. And here we see a surprising thing. One of the lowest tribes, with the smallest number of children to begin with, grew into the second largest tribe. To show you that it's never too late. You should never give up. You should always continue trying. Even if you're not successful at the beginning, you may catch up later. Another thing we have to note that the tribe of Yosef is split into Ephraim and Menashe. And therefore, if we combine Ephraim and Menashe, who came really from one son of Yaakov, we are going to have 72,700, which means it will be the second largest tribe. The tribe of Yosef. Yehuda is number 1, Yosef is number 2. And it's only because they were split in half that the tribes seem small. So then, in reality, the smallest tribe is Binyamin, who have only 35,400. And that is also surprising because we know that Binyamin had 10 sons. Why is it that Binyamin, who had 10 sons, has the smallest tribe, and Dan, who had the least number of children himself, has the third largest tribe? And again, the answer is because the result is not up to us. Up to us is to try to do our best, and what happens is up to God. And therefore, we should never give up, and we should never slow down. We should continue our achievements. And from here, our sages also say, just because you achieved a lot in your youth, don't stop your achievements later in life. Because you never know which of these will be more successful. You'll achieve something when you're young, and again when you're a little bit older and in your old age, and you never know. Maybe the one that you will achieve later in life will be more successful. And they say it specifically about children. Just because you had some children when you were young, don't stop having children as long as you can. Continue having children, because you will have more blessings, more happiness in life, and more chances that your children will give you more grandchildren. And if God willing, all of them are going to be successful, so better for you. And if not, all of them will be successful, at least you have greater chance that some of them will be successful. So it's for person's benefit to put in effort and try, but at the end of the day, a person has to recognize that the final result is up to Hashem. Now, we are on page 731, verse 47. The Levites, according to their father's tribe, were not counted among them. So this count of 603,550 families of the Jewish people does not include the tribe of Levi. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "But you shall not count the tribe of Levi, and you shall not take a census of them among the children of Israel." Why? So two answers. Number one, because the Levites did not fight in the army. And since this count was in order to form an army, the Levites are not included. Why the Levites don't fight in the army? For two reasons. Number one, because only someone who received land in the land of Israel has to fight for it, and the Levites did not receive the land. The Levites received just towns to live in, but no land for agriculture. And reason number two is, and they're connected, is because the Levites are busy with their service in the Beit HaMikdash. Levites include the Kohanim and Leviim, and they are dedicated to serve Hashem. For the Jewish people appoint them as their messengers, and they are busy, and therefore they don't fight in the army. So again, one reason that the Levites were not counted was because they don't have to fight in the army. The second reason for not counting the Levites is because Hashem knew that, unfortunately, the Jewish people will sin by sending the spies, and he knew that they will be punished with staying in the desert for another 39 years, and everyone who was between the age of 20 and 60 at that time will have to die in the desert. But since the Levites did not sin by the golden calf, and not by the spies, they will survive. And therefore, he did not want to include them in that same count, because these 603,550 men are destined to die. And he wants to separate them from them. Now, but still, the Levites will be counted separately, by themselves. In verse 50, now you appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of the testimony, over all of its utensils. They shall carry the tabernacle and all its utensils, and they shall minister to it, and they shall encamp around the tabernacle. When the tabernacle journeys, the Levites shall take it down, and when the tabernacle encamps, the Levites shall set it up. And whoever is not a Kohen or a Levi who approaches shall die. Now, we're on page 733. The children of Israel shall encamp, every man at his camp, and every man at his banner, at his flag, according to their legions. The Levites are in the center around the tabernacle, and the Jewish people are all around the Levites. Now in chapter 2, the formation of the camp. We just mentioned that the tabernacle is the center of the Jewish people. Just like in our days, the synagogue is the center of our life. And then surrounding the tabernacle are the Levites, with Moshe and Aharon on the east, and surrounding the tabernacle and the Levites on all four sides are the Jewish people. Since there were 12 tribes, the tribe of Levi is the 13th tribe, so they are in a separate circle. But the other 12 tribes are divided into 4 parts, each part having 3 tribes. 3 tribes on the north, 3 tribes on the east, 3 tribes on the west, and 3 tribes on the south. This is what we're going to speak about in chapter 2. Hashem spoke to Moshe and Aaron, saying, the children of Israel shall encamp, each man by his banner according to the insignias or of their father's household.